everybody. Welcome. I'm Howie Howard from Mr. Furious Records. This week's musical adventure on Dat Fury Radio, reunited with Nate Holt. What's going on, Nate?
How are you doing, Howie?
I'm good. You didn't answer my question, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Had to roll into the office this morning in Kansas City, so also to get back and pick up the dog from daycare and get on to the podcast. I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So you've had a busy winter/spring. You released Challenge Response in February, available at asterales.bandcamp.com, link in the description. I've been meaning to get with you to listen to that record and talk about it for a while. And then just the other day, you released No Still, which we'll get to in next week's episode. But this week, Challenge Response. Do you want to... The first track is kind of an intro, so why don't I get some music going?
Sure.
And why don't you kind of introduce us to the record as a whole?
Yeah, so this is the first record that I made on my own. I had a couple of what are they? CRT monitors, the big one, those big monitors. I played a little bit of guitar, a little bit of bass. I was at the time using some cracked plugins, Pro Tools, like the original Inbox, Reason 3, and these were all stuff I think I did kind of through. Well, I was using Pro Tools as well, but a lot of this stuff originated at Reason. At the time I was living with my friend Brian Adams, not the Canadian singer, but another Brian Adams.
Right.
And Richard Gintout from Hidden Pictures on K. Jones. We were playing together in a band, but I started kind of making this because I wanted to put a record out. And, it was very DIY. I burned all the CDs, copied all the cover art, and put all this stuff together, and kind of just family and friends. No big thing. It's just something that I wanted to do.
Gotcha. So this actually, I didn't realize this had been released at that point. So did you make any changes for posting it, earlier this year, or is this exactly what came out back then?
This is pretty much it. I ran all the tracks, which were basically 2-track stereo bounces. That's really all I had through a warm bus compressor. Just seemed like it gave it a little bit of
a little sauce on it.
Something, yeah. But that's it. Everything is exactly how it was.
Okay.
Recorded and it was back then.
Yeah, and you already answered. I was gonna ask you about the guitar, but you already answered that. So.
Some of the guitar I think is sampled, but I did play, actual guitar and stuff, which then I started working with other musicians and that were better at guitar and all kinds of instruments.
So is this before DJ Not a DJ or after?
This is gonna be post DJ Not a DJ.
Okay. But kind of right after, right?
Yeah. So I moved down to Kansas City for a couple of years, and then came back to Lawrence in 2008. So this was maybe 2004, 5, 6, somewhere in there. You'll forgive my fuzzy memory.
All good. Yeah. I'm just here to ask the question. I don't expect an airtight answer.
Excellent.
It just so happened, before we started recording, I was telling Nate, I've got a lot of family photos and stuff to go through from my dad's house, but one that I found just like 30 minutes ago was a picture of me at the desk with my first Pro Tools rig. So the picture was January 03. My Digio 1 system, which I still have and could still fire up if I spent an hour dragging it all out and
That's
plugging
impressive.
it in. And there's some stems on there that I still want to get someday.
Yeah.
But bought the system in November of 02. I remember spending Thanksgiving break like setting up Pro Tools for the first time and figuring out what that was going to be.
Yeah, I had the original inbox is what I was using. I think it was 7, Pro Tools 7 maybe.
You probably got up to there. I don't remember what version I started on. I topped out at Pro Tools LE 5.3.1. I don't know why that sticks in my memory, but I've just seen the launch screen so many times.
Yeah.
Also, because it would crash so much, so I would see that launch screen like so many times per session.
Yeah, obviously recording in studios and stuff, that was a program to have, and like I said, at the time it was like eBay, I think. We'd go on and like bid on or try to buy virtual instruments, and I remember a guy like reached out to me. He's like, "Hey man, if you don't want to bid on these or buy these, man, here's a list of stuff I have." Which is terrible. I mean, I ended up, not using any cracked software and having to for forever. But sometimes it's all you can do. But yeah, I don't blame people.
I'm shifting gears, but this is great drum programming, and I don't want to miss it. We're listening to Low Cost Alternative, and very cool, kind of drum and bass, but like tempo a notch down.
Yeah, I think it was loop based, but yeah, I did some manipulation, and I'm like, there's things that I'm like, oh, I wish I would have done that a little bit for me or something, but it turned out really cool.
Jarrett, we don't hear that.
Or David Jarrett,
stuff,
man. Huh?
We don't hear that stuff. The stuff that you imagine could be different.
Right.
What are you saying about Jarrett?
Or David Jarrett now, from DJ Not a DJ. That was one of the observations and compliments that he paid me. Which is pretty high from David, as far as drum programming and drum goes.
Yeah, and that feels kind of like his drumming a little bit. I mean,
yeah,
not as live, obviously, but it has some of that flavor.
Yeah, we and I have more music that I took some of these songs up to his studio at the time, mixtape that was in Lawrence, and had friends record live tracks with live drum space, everything else, and that's just kind of been sitting as well. Because I think at the time there was kind of David was, I think, getting ready to move back to Texas to take care of his parents, and so didn't do everything that I wanted to do with that, but it's been sitting there, and so that's going to be probably one of my next few things that I put out. Just it's super raw, but
yeah,
I don't know how else, how much else, what more I can really do to it or how much more, better it can be. It's cool. It is definitely cool. I think it's an interesting, especially, I guess, if you want to talk about the AI generated music and stuff like that, it's definitely you definitely tell it's not AI, you know, right?
And when something's got that juice, you don't want to process it too much or like cover it up too much. You want to keep that.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is Northwest Territories, which is named from obviously Northwest Territories in northern Canada. It always kind of fascinated me that area of the world. Be interesting to visit.
I remember, so we can't hear it too well on the monitoring situation here while we're live on the call. Listeners, you'll be able to hear, but I remember the bass on this one is really dope.
Oh, cool. Yeah, thanks. That was, I think that was like a mini move or VST plugin, which was just like, I don't know, when just having that that palette of sound, even, you know, I mean, I don't think a whole lot of people are gonna be able to be like, well, that's a VST from 2003 or whatever, you know. I think it sounded really cool, and
was it the old, do you remember, there was a Steinberg did like a mini mode plugin? I actually got it to work on my old Pro Tools system. It just about took all the memory it had, and that's still floating around. Like I think people have ported it or something into some more modern platforms.
Yeah, I'm sure I had Steinberg stuff, and then I remember the name being like more universal, like there are different manufacturers and Steinberg would be somehow incorporated into either however the software was set up or something. And then I did, and didn't they do Cubase?
Yeah, I think so, or they owned it or something. Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, and that pad, I remember being like really sort of like jazzed about it, because I kind of made it with I think 2 or 3 Reason synths, and it just
layers on,
and they're just layers, and it doesn't really necessarily sound as impressive as I would think that it should, with, you know, I'm like, I did some really cool stuff with that, and just now it just sounds like just this kind of cool pad, nothing.
Yeah, sometimes we do a lot of work, and it just like, it adds a richness, but that doesn't draw a lot of attention necessarily, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you miss it if you went back to just like, you know, a filtered saw wave, it would lose something.
Yeah, it would not be the same. Trying to think what else about that song. I don't know.
Happy Accident.
Yeah, I think this is probably one of the ones I like, or up on my list as far as favorites. And I don't know that I was consciously thinking about it when I was making it and everything, but looking back, it's kind of like it covers a range of sounds that I like and try to aim for, which is, you know, some ambient stuff, kind of glitchy drums.
Yeah, this is kind of an early version of some stuff that you would develop further with those glitchy all the little zaps and all that headphone ear candy stuff.
Yeah. I'm trying to slowly but surely get back into creating more original music, other than what I have recorded, there's a lot, but it's like I kind of want to figure out how to get back to that state of that mindset or whatever I was going through my mind when I was thinking about how I wanted to compose and kind of produce these songs. Like, maybe I need to go back and see what I was listening to back then.
Yeah, do you remember how did they come from jams, or would you have a specific idea that you would start with, if it's a bass line or a drum pattern or something, or how did they start?
I'm sure in a variety of ways. I think this was probably I think the drums were one of the first, and then maybe those, that chord change, those chord changes, and then I just started adding, a little bit of Rhodes on top of it. What we call it, this balloony kind of bubbly pad that's in the back. I mean, I do remember that I just kind of read some of Brian Eno's stuff and how, his sort of outlook was, and he was, speaking of ambient music, more particularly, but music that could be in the background, and you're not really, it's not grabbing your attention, but if you actually start listening to it, you can kind of, there's some layers and things that will keep you engaged.
I remember I'm looking at the Bandcamp page for Challenge Response. It's not on there. Is it on you were writing something about that pretty recently. I thought maybe it was in one of the emails. Yeah, here it is on No Still, which we'll get to. But my aim was to create, this is Nate writing now, my aim was to create music that can sit comfortably in the background while also rewarding the listener who leans in. I knew I'd read that.
Yeah, and that's still sort of a underlying thing. I mean, even though, since then I've wanted to and sought out projects that with other vocalists like Kirsten Paladin and Semper Viridis, and I think the last record I put out with Datura, Sean's label, I made an effort to put some vocals on there, write vocals. I did some vocoder stuff. Royce did, had a one or two songs, I think, that he rapped over. But even so, like, if you just took the instrumentals, like, I think they would have the same sort of, you don't have to listen to them. They can be in the background and not bother you. You could study your work or whatever. But
yeah, and wasn't there? I mean, a couple of them got like remixes or bonus tracks, like instrumental versions.
Mm-hmm.
Listeners, we're talking, of course, about Futurespective.
Yeah.
That was like your last like big budget kind of blockbuster.
Yeah.
I know. I do the same thing, man. I've got like the headlining, the summertime, the big ones, and then the more casual ones.
So this one was something like I've always wanted to redo this and have like a, actual vocals and have some record real drums, bass, re-record guitars and stuff like that. But there was just something about this song that's like sort of indie, trying to go for like the chimey guitar stuff.
Mm-hmm. And that's really the highlight, I think, is the guitar doing kind of unexpected things and not just following the bass or whatever. It'd be interesting to take it into one of your groups maybe and just see how it gets kind of reinterpreted and written over, since this version already exists.
Yeah, it's with Semper Viridis, which is the group I have with Kirsch and Paladin. We just I wouldn't say that it's not inactive. We just we both have our own things going on. Like we could get together, but the idea, things that we were talking about were integrating, drummer and a guitar player and stuff into it. I think even one of our EP releases, we did bring in Spencer, Kurt Skiffen from Hello Biplane, and she played guitar, and Kenny Pingleton from Arthur Dodge's band played drums when we had a release show at the Ship. So it would be cool. It would be cool to get back and bring that stuff back into it a little bit. But there's so many things that you have, on a list that sometimes you got to wait for the timing is right. Sometimes you have to make it happen, and then just figuring out which one you have to do wins.
Yeah, it looks different, but like in terms of that process, you and I are very much the same. I mean, even just today, I tried to do some vocals over my lunch break, and it's for the Jam My Wave, like my huge, like my blockbuster thing that I've been working on for 3.5 years or something, and
really
I'm a year away from releasing, but yeah, like just the way that life worked out, I finished guitar solos in like November and took just the way things played out, it was 6 months before I started on vocals. I could have turned around the next day, right? But just the way that life worked and other music, and I did some synth stuff and worked on Dharmic beams and stuff in the middle, so It's not like I wasn't making music, but the time, it just took a while because vocals are hard for me, so it takes a while to get in the headspace and feel.
Oh, I completely understand. There's a couple of things I've done that I've been pretty proud of vocal-wise, but and it's different in maybe live bands and stuff. Like I background vocals, just things like that are not too terribly difficult, but I don't necessarily like my speaking voice to begin with.
Dude,
so
I feel ya.
trying to hear myself sing stuff. I'm like, oh God.
My speaking and singing voice has like 20% Kermit the Frog that I don't hear in my own head, like when I'm talking. But when I hear the playback, it's like, oh, there's a little Kermit.
Well, yeah. I think some of that too is maybe just letting go of I'll just say, like, ego. Just like
Totally.
express yourself and be authentic. And I think that's especially relevant now. Is the authenticity and stuff that doesn't sound like 10,000 other things.
Definitely. To Feel Like You Belong on Dat Fury Radio.
Yeah, this was another one that took up to Mixtape Meditation. Dash played some drums on it and bass on it. Ryan Wirtz from he owns a guitar store down, I think, in Brookside. And what's the band he plays in? It'll come to me anyway. He's a fantastic guitar player. Played guitar in this, not this version, but the one that I recorded in the mixtape that I'll eventually put out. And it's another one where I'd love to have some lyrics and stuff, but if I can get it done, I will. But otherwise, it's just another like kind of chill instrumental thing, Sort of R&B-ish.
Yeah, the little quiet storm in the chords.
Yeah. I like the reference.
And that it's kind of a DX7-y sound a little bit.
Yeah, I do like all the sort of chirpy stuff, and I don't.
Yeah.
That had to have been something that was just more easily brought out with some of the Reason instruments, maybe. So I still like that. I still incorporate those sort of glitchy things, but I feel like this record, and like No Still, and then there's another collection of Reason demos that I'm gonna put out that have that same vibe in terms of
yeah. And that's what going back to your point a minute ago about authenticity and distinctiveness, like that's, I don't know anybody else who's doing DX7 and glitchy drums, right? Like that's part of what makes it you, and it gels together perfectly. It doesn't even, you listen to the music and it doesn't even necessarily jump out, but when you think about it, it's like, oh, like those are two tastes that don't necessarily, you don't hear them together a whole lot, but Nate makes them make sense.
No, and I appreciate that perspective, because that kind of helps me and gives me a little more confidence, and because looking ahead, I'm putting this out. I'm putting this music out because it needs to be out there. I wanted to have it out, after I'm not here, and but my intention now, I've just, is to actually distribute them, and then start researching sync stuff. And
yeah, that'd be great for this.
And I do think some of it has some potential to stand out a little bit. It's just you got to find the right outlets, meet the right people, talk to the right people, which just takes a little bit of time and research and stuff like that. But
there was a good.
Nobody's trying. I mean, we're both, at whatever age we are, nobody's trying to retire off of any of this. But it'd be nice to, see some.
Yeah, get a cool placement, maybe a check in the mail.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of. So I'm pretty sure I listened to a good podcast a year or two ago that covered exactly this, and I think it was an episode of the Mastering Show. I will search and try and put a link in the description if I can find it. Mastering Show is a great podcast, but I'm pretty sure Ian had a guest on who kind of covered exactly what you're talking about as far as like Sync 101 and like what are the basic steps you need to do. Mm-hmm. We're talking about sync licensing, which is how like songs get placed into movies and TV shows and stuff. So I'll see if I can dig that up. I'm pretty sure it was on the Mastering Show.
And the thing is, Lawrence is a wonderful town. I mean, I was in Kansas City for 5 years or so, but since mid '90s, basically it's Lawrence. This is where I've been. But in terms of arts resources, the Lawrence Music Alliance, offers, I think they have office hours or something like that in the middle of the week. You can, I don't know if it has to be virtual. You can go in and just talk to people about that kind of thing, music business topics.
Some of that business stuff, yeah.
And so that's like to get more involved in that, and utilize those resources too.
Definitely.
But I think it's a really cool thing, especially for a town like Lawrence to have that, to have the library where it's that free resource. Anybody can go and record, and put out a record just using the library for free.
Yeah,
I think that's amazing. And if I was in grade school or junior high or middle school or whatever, man, that would be game changer.
There's a lot of resources around town. There's even a podcast that always needs guests who are releasing local music. You can reach that podcast through MrFuriousRecords.bandcamp.com. Click the contact link. Professional transition. Click the contact link, fill out the form. That will come to me. I'd be happy to hear from you if you have a record you'd like to talk about.
I'd like to say I queued it up for you.
You did. You just nice softball. And Nate's record challenge response is out now at Asterales.bandcamp.com. Nate, is it on streaming?
It's not on streaming yet. I have a website that's 90% there. I need to do some housekeeping and make sure it's operational the way I want it to. 'Cause it's I would like it to be, to have a email, lists and preferably, where you can stream music directly off the site. The shopping cart would be great. That's kind of on the next, maybe the next step. But my plan is to distribute these records probably sometimes towards in the fall. Put it up on streaming services and have some and you know, in conjunction with the website, so that all kind of syncs.
Have a big old launch. Well, we look forward to it. Nate, stick around. Listeners, have a great week. Nate will be back next week, and we'll catch you next time on Dat Fury Radio.
Thanks, y'all.